Good night, everyone. I hope you had a peaceful day, and now it's time to relax. A little moment just for yourself. As you lie down in bed, let your eyes slowly close and your body unwind. We are right here with you, ready to take you on another gentle journey through the night. Welcome to Stories for Sleep. My name is Yasser, and 2 months ago I moved into a house I inherited from an uncle I barely knew. He was a quiet, strange man, lived alone, never married. When he passed away, he left everything to me, including a worn-down 2-story house in the countryside. The house was old but still strong, dark wood floors, thick curtains, the kind of place that creaked even when you stood still. Most of the furniture was covered in white sheets, like ghosts waiting to be uncovered. But one thing stood out right away: a small bedroom on the second floor, with a bed nailed shut to the floor and the wall. It looked like someone had tried to trap the bed in place, as if it might run away. The bed was old-fashioned, heavy wood frame, faded red fabric at the headboard. Nails ran through the legs, deep into the wooden floor. Rusty iron spikes also pinned the back of it to the wall. It made no sense. Why nail a bed? Why not just throw it out if it was broken? I asked the lawyer handling the estate. He hesitated before saying, "Your uncle told me once, never remove those nails. It keeps it asleep." I laughed at the time, thought it was just a crazy old man's superstition. I shouldn't have laughed. The first night I slept in the house, I didn't go near that room. But at 3 a.m., I woke up to a sound, scraping, like nails on wood. I grabbed my phone and walked down the hall. The sound was coming from behind the nailed bedroom door. I pressed my ear to it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow taps from the inside. I backed away, heart racing, but told myself it must be the wind or the house settling. Still, I didn't sleep again that night. Next morning, I opened the bedroom door. Everything looked the same, except the bed had shifted an inch from the wall. The nails had bent slightly. I stood there, staring, swallowed hard, and did what I shouldn't have done. I pulled out the nails. At first, nothing happened. The bed creaked slightly, as if releasing tension. I checked under it. Nothing but dust. No trapdoors. No symbols. Just an old bed. That night, I moved it back into place, pushed it against the wall, and left the door open. But at 3 a.m., I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. From inside my bedroom. I turned on the lamp. The bed from the other room was now standing in front of my door. I swear, I didn't move it. I locked the door. I checked the hallway. It wasn't a dream. It was there, waiting. I called the local repairman the next morning, asked him to help remove the bed completely. We tried to drag it down the stairs, but halfway down he slipped and cracked his head on the banister. He's still in the hospital. He doesn't remember what happened, but I remember what he whispered before passing out. It opened its eyes. I decided to leave the bed alone after that. I pushed it back into the original room. This time, I didn't just nail it, I welded it to the wall. But it still comes back. Not physically, no. It appears in my dreams. Or sometimes I wake up and see it in different parts of the house. Just for a moment. Then it's gone again. One night I heard a whisper while walking past the room. Lay down, just once. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. I started researching. I found a box of letters in the attic, my uncle's journals. They were full of entries like, "It sings when I sleep. It shows me its mouth." I nailed it down, but the dreams keep coming. If I sleep on it again, it will become me. One entry chilled me to the bone. The bed wasn't built, it was found. It grows roots if you lie on it too long. I began sleeping on the couch. Still, I had nightmares every night. In every dream, the bed is in the center of a black room, and something under the mattress is breathing. Last week, I tried to burn the bed. I poured fuel over it, lit a match. The flames roared and then stopped. The fire refused to touch the bed, as if something was swallowing the heat. And when I touched the bed afterward, it was warm, like it had eaten the fire. Now I'm scared to stay in the house. But every time I try to leave, I get sick, dizzy, confused. And somehow, I always end up waking up on the bed again. Even when I sleep on the floor. Even when I sleep in a hotel. Somehow, I return. And each time, I remember a little less about who I was. Today, I looked in the mirror and saw my uncle's face. I blinked. It was mine again, but only just. I'm writing this now for whoever finds this house next. If the bed is still here, don't touch it. Don't sit on it. Don't sleep on it. Don't dream on it. And if you find it nailed to the wall, leave it that way. Because the bed isn't a piece of furniture. It's a mouth, waiting to be fed. And once you lie on it long enough, you don't ever get back up. My name is Lauren Reed, and I live in a small town in Oregon. I moved into this apartment 3 months ago after breaking up with my fiance, Josh. The place was affordable, quiet, and came with some furniture, nothing fancy. The landlord, Mr. Harmon, told me the last tenant left in a hurry. She just packed up and disappeared, he said, chuckling nervously. Didn't even take the bed. I should have known something was wrong when he said that, because that mattress wasn't normal. It screams when I move. The first night was uneventful. I was exhausted from moving, so I lay on the bed and fell asleep within minutes. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke up feeling wrong, like someone was watching me. The air was cold, heavy. Then, when I rolled over, I heard it, a soft, breathy sound. Ah! I froze. I thought it was the pipes, or maybe the wind. But when I turned again, ah! A low, drawn-out scream, muffled and shaky, like it came from beneath the bed. I leaped off the mattress. The sound stopped. I stood in the corner of the room, heart racing. My phone said 2:33 a.m. No messages, no missed calls, just silence. I didn't sleep again that night. The next morning, I convinced myself it was a dream. I'd had bad nights before. Stress, anxiety, imagination, right? I tried again the following night. Same time, same feeling, same sound. Except this time, I felt the mattress shift, like something underneath moved. When I rolled, a slow push against my back, as if something inside it was reacting to me. I called Mr. Harmon. He came over, annoyed, wearing his usual stained flannel shirt. There's nothing wrong with the bed, he said. You want me to take it? You gotta buy your own. I insisted he check under the mattress. He pulled it up halfway and looked. Nothing, just wooden slats and dust. But I noticed something. There was a dark stain near the middle, almost like dried blood. He saw it too, and quickly dropped the mattress back. Old wine, he said, then walked out before I could question it. I went to the library and searched the address in the archives. The apartment had been rented by several women over the last 10 years. Each of them stayed for less than 6 months. One of them, Emily Walters, age 26, had gone missing 2 years ago. Police said she just vanished, left her things behind, including her mattress. I couldn't stop thinking about it. So that night, I placed my phone under the bed with the voice recorder on. I left it running and lay down, pretending to sleep. At 2:31 a.m., I shifted slightly, and the screaming began, louder this time, raw. A woman's voice. Please stop. Get off me, please. I shot out of bed. My phone was still recording. The screen showed 4 hours of audio. I skipped to the moment and listened again. The voice sounded desperate, like someone was being crushed. And then, at the end of the recording, the voice whispered, "Help me." He's still here. I went to the police. They were polite, but you could tell they didn't believe me. The officer, Detective Alvarez, said they had already looked into Emily's case. No signs of foul play, no leads. She just walked away. I told them about the bed, the recordings, the screams. They promised to look into it. I never heard back. The next night, I didn't sleep. I sat in a chair, watching the mattress. At 2:30 a.m., it moved. Not a creak, not a shift. It breathed. It rose, like lungs filling with air, then slowly deflated. A groan came from inside it. A voice, not mine, not human. It said, "She's still inside." I ripped the mattress open the next morning. Stuffing flew everywhere. Foam, springs, torn cloth. Then, under the last layer, I found a piece of fingernail. Still red, still real. And hair. Clumps of it. Blonde. Emily was blonde. I ran out. Called a friend. Megan, my old college roommate. She came over and stayed the night with me. At 3 a.m., she screamed. I ran to the room. She was standing on the bed, crying. "The mattress. Something touched me. From underneath. It grabbed my ankle." We slept in the living room that night. I bought a new mattress the next day, threw the old one in the alley behind the building. But that night, the screams didn't stop. Even without the mattress in my room, I still heard them, muffled, from the floor. "Help. Help me." I moved out the next week. I thought I left the horror behind. But last night, I got a text from an unknown number. "You moved, but she didn't." Attached was a photo of the old mattress, back inside the bedroom, perfectly made, waiting. I don't know what happened to Emily. I don't know why the mattress is still there. But if you ever find a furnished apartment with a stained old bed, don't lie down. Because some mattresses don't help you sleep. They help someone else scream. And one day, that scream could be yours. My name is Daniel Carter, and last summer I moved to New Orleans for a job as a freelance photographer. I didn't have much money, so I looked for a cheap place to stay, somewhere temporary until I got settled. I found a listing on a local site, not Airbnb or anything official, just a plain ad that read, "Room for rent, quiet, private, no pets, no mirrors, $400 a month." I didn't think much of the no mirrors part at the time. Seemed like a weird quirk. Maybe the owner was superstitious. The address was in Faubourg Marigny, a peaceful, historic neighborhood near the French Quarter. I met the landlord the same day, Mrs. Marlene Bouchard, an older woman with silver hair, thin lips, and eyes that didn't blink often. She welcomed me in with a polite smile, but didn't speak much. The house was old but clean, wooden floors, soft yellow wallpaper. It smelled like dried lavender and dust. She led me upstairs to a small bedroom at the end of a narrow hallway. One twin bed, one desk, a wardrobe, no windows, and not a single mirror in sight. "Please," she said firmly, placing a pale hand on my arm. "If you bring any reflective items, cover them at night." I raised an eyebrow. "Like a phone screen?" She didn't answer, just turned and left. I figured she was eccentric. It didn't bother me much. I unpacked, set up my laptop, and got some sleep. But by the second night, I started to feel it. Something was wrong with the room. It wasn't the darkness or the silence. It was the feeling like I wasn't alone. I kept glancing at the walls, expecting to see something move out of the corner of my eye. I grabbed my compact mirror from my camera bag, just out of curiosity, held it up in front of me. No reflection, not a blur, not a shimmer, just nothing. I blinked, rubbed the glass, Looked again. Still blank. Black. It wasn't broken. I turned it toward the door. Reflected fine. But when I pointed it toward myself, emptiness. My throat went dry. I laughed nervously. Maybe it was the lighting. I turned on the desk lamp. Same result. No reflection. I brought the mirror downstairs and checked again in the kitchen. There I was, clear as ever. I hurried back up and tried again in the room. Gone. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the floor made me jump. I left the light on, stared at the ceiling, and promised myself I'd move out by the weekend. But things got worse. Night 3, 2:37 a.m. I woke up to a tapping sound, like fingernails against glass. I sat up. The room was silent again. I checked my phone. It had shut off. Battery dead, even though it was fully charged before I slept. I looked at the wardrobe mirror. It had been covered with a thick black cloth since I arrived. Now, the cloth was on the floor. The mirror was uncovered. And in it, I saw my bed. But not me. Instead, a pale, tall figure stood over the bed, leaning close. Thin face, hollow eyes, long hair, like it floated in water. I turned around. Nothing there. But when I looked back at the mirror, it was still watching. I ran out. Spent the rest of the night sitting in the front yard. Mrs. Bouchard didn't say anything the next morning. She served me black coffee and toast like nothing happened. I asked, "Why are there no reflections?" She looked up slowly and said, "Because they don't belong to us anymore." I packed up, told her I was leaving. She nodded, but as I walked out, she warned, "Be careful. Once you see it, sometimes it sees you back." I stayed in a motel that night. Thought I was safe. But in the bathroom mirror, I noticed something behind me. Too far, too tall, too still. When I turned around, no one there. For the next few weeks, I avoided mirrors, anything reflective. I threw out my mirrorless camera, used only my phone. Still, every now and then when I check my front camera, something flickers behind me. I sleep with the lights on. I wake up feeling watched, and I dream of that room, the one where I couldn't see myself. One day I got a package. No return address. Inside, a mirror. My compact mirror, the one I left behind, and written on the glass, in something like ash. Nowhere is safe if your reflection is missing. So here's my advice. If you rent a room and there are no mirrors, don't be curious. Don't bring one in. Don't look for yourself. Because if you aren't there, something else is, and it wants to take your place. My name is Ashley Monroe, and I never thought a ceiling fan would be the reason I stopped sleeping at night. It sounds silly, I know. A fan. Just blades and a motor, right? But the one in my new apartment, it's different. It doesn't just turn. It watches. I moved into the place a few months ago, a second-floor apartment in Savannah, Georgia. Quiet, shaded by old trees, the kind of place you think ghosts would love. But I didn't care. Rent was cheap. I had just gotten a new job as a school librarian, and I needed to be close to work. The apartment was fully furnished, clean, cozy, except for one strange detail. A large, heavy ceiling fan in the bedroom. Old-fashioned, dark wood blades, black iron base, mounted directly above the bed. The landlord, Mrs. Little, mentioned it during the walkthrough. "Just leave it on low, all the time," she said, "even at night." I asked why. She just gave a small smile and said, "Old wiring. Sometimes the switch sticks." I nodded. I didn't think twice, but I should have. The first few nights, everything was fine. The fan spun slowly, humming quietly, creating a gentle breeze. It was even kind of soothing. Until the fifth night. I woke up around 2:40 a.m. Not because of a sound, but because of a feeling, like I wasn't alone. The room was dim, moonlight leaking through the blinds. The fan was spinning above me, but it looked Off. The blades weren't just rotating. They were moving slower, but not in a mechanical way, like they were pausing, watching, judging. It felt like the fan had eyes. I shook it off, told myself I was just dreaming, turned over, went back to sleep. The next night, I woke up again. This time, I swear I heard a whisper, soft and distant. "Are you awake?" I sat up, heart racing. The room was empty. The fan kept spinning, but the shadow it cast on the wall, it had 5 blades, yet only 4 shadows. By the second week, I started hearing clicks at night. Not mechanical clicks, tongue clicks, like someone standing in the corner, making noises with their mouth. I searched every inch of the apartment, under the bed, in the closet, behind the curtains. Nothing. But the fan kept spinning. Then I made a mistake. I turned it off. That night, I woke up drenched in sweat. Still, it was dead silent. No hum, no air. I looked up, and the fan wasn't still. It was twitching. Each blade moved on its own, like fingers, twisting, reaching, searching. Then it spoke, not aloud. Inside my head, "Turn me back on." I screamed, bolted out of the room, and spent the night in my car. The next morning, I called Mrs. Little. She answered like she was expecting the call. "You turned it off, didn't you?" I demanded answers. She sighed. "It's not the fan. It's what's inside it. The last tenant tried to replace it. He's gone now. Left in his sleep. Never woke up." She told me to keep it running. Said it keeps it distracted, whatever it is. I tried to stay in a hotel that night. It didn't help. Because when I woke up, my phone was playing a video, a live feed, of my bedroom, of the ceiling fan, spinning faster than ever. Even though I wasn't there, I came back. Too scared to understand why. Too scared to leave it alone. Now, I sleep with the lights on. The fan spins all night. Sometimes I see shadows moving on the ceiling, even when the blades are still. Sometimes I wake up with scratches on my arms, always 5, in a circle. And sometimes I wake up staring straight at it, like my body turns itself to face it while I sleep. I put a camera in the room to record while I slept. Next morning, the footage was gone. All that remained was one still image. Me, lying in bed. And above me, a black face stretched from the center of the fan, staring straight into the camera. I asked a priest for help. He blessed the room. The fan started spinning backward that night and whispered, "We don't like him." Last week I found a note in my mailbox. No envelope, just folded paper. It read, "He watches those who sleep under him, but he enters only the ones who dream." I don't dream anymore. I'm too afraid to sleep deeply. I don't even blink for too long when I'm in that room, because every time I close my eyes, I feel his breath on my face. So here's my warning. If your ceiling fan feels too old to be safe, if it hums even when unplugged, if you ever feel like something's above you, waiting, don't sleep beneath it. Because some fans aren't machines. Some fans are mouths. And one day, they might spin fast enough to swallow you whole. My name is Jessica Holloway, and I work as an interior designer in Connecticut. 2 months ago, I took on a project to renovate an old Victorian house in the small town of Ashford. The house was gorgeous on the outside. Stone walls, ivy-covered arches, and stained glass windows that glowed like fire during sunset. But inside, rotten, peeling walls, broken floors, mold. And the worst part? The wallpaper. Every single room was covered in it. Old, yellowed, faded flowers and vines. Beautiful, but wrong. Almost like it was alive. The client was a quiet woman named Cora Bennett. She inherited the house from her grandparents and wanted to restore it before moving in. "It has to feel like it used to," she told me. "Same look, same wallpaper, I asked her, why not remove it? It was ancient and brittle. She gave me a look I didn't understand at the time and said, because if the wallpaper comes down, something else comes out. I thought she was joking. I laughed. She didn't. I started working the next day, pulled long hours, often stayed late, sometimes past midnight. The town was quiet, and the house stood at the edge of a dark forest. No neighbors, no streetlights, just wind and trees. The first strange thing happened during the third night. I stayed past 11 p.m. to finish measuring the hallways. While writing in my notebook, I heard a drip, not from the ceiling, from the wall. A wet, thick drop that splashed against the floor. I turned around slowly. A dark red line was running down the floral wallpaper, thick, sticky. I touched it. It was blood. I stepped back, heart pounding. But by the time I turned on my flashlight, the wall was dry. No stain, no sign of blood, just wallpaper. I told myself I was imagining things. Stress, overwork. But the next night, it happened again, exactly at midnight. This time, not one spot. All 4 walls of the sitting room began to bleed. Not just streaks, patterns, symbols, writing, names, my name. I grabbed my tools and left the house immediately. Called Cora the next morning and told her I needed a few days off. She said calmly, "It bleeds when the house doesn't like you." I asked, "What does that mean?" "It's better not to ask." I returned determined to get the job done. But I brought help this time, my assistant Brian. He didn't believe in anything supernatural. Until midnight hit. We were painting the kitchen when we both heard it, screaming, but not human. The walls were screaming. Low, guttural moans and muffled cries, like dozens of people trapped inside the walls. Then the wallpaper in front of us began to peel itself off, and underneath, not drywall, not plaster, but skin, soft, pale, warm to the touch. Brian ran. He quit the job that night. I stayed, God knows why. Maybe curiosity, maybe pride. Maybe the house already had a hold on me. That weekend, I ripped down a small piece of wallpaper near the fireplace. Behind it, scratched into the wooden beams, was a date, August 13th, 1942. And under it, she made us sleep inside. I checked old records, found nothing, no news stories, no police reports, just one clue. A faded photo of a woman standing in the same house, same wallpaper, same smile. Her name was Henrietta Bennett, Cora's grandmother. I confronted Cora. She admitted everything. My grandmother, she made deals with things, old things, hidden in the woods. The wallpaper was a seal, a cover. She told me each pattern, each vine and flower was a symbol, an old protective charm to keep something inside. And every time the wallpaper bleeds, it means the seal is weakening. I asked her why she wouldn't just burn the house. Her answer chilled me. If the wallpaper burns, it doesn't die, it escapes. Now, it bleeds every night. I hear voices whispering behind the paper. Sometimes they call to me, sometimes they beg me to join them. And last night, one of the vines on the wallpaper moved, slid across the wall like a snake, and carved these words into the floorboards. "We are the walls now. I'm trapped. I tried to leave. My car won't start. My phone won't work. The doors don't open after sunset. Every midnight, I hear footsteps in the hall, and the wallpaper, it bleeds. Gallons of blood, covering the floor, pooling beneath the bed, dripping onto my skin, and whispering, 'You're next.' So if you ever find wallpaper that's too old to touch, that feels like it's watching you, don't paint over it. Don't peel it. Don't stay. Because some walls aren't meant to be decorated. They're meant to trap souls. And at midnight, they bleed to remind you, you live in their skin now." My name is Ethan Collins, and I don't sleep much anymore. Not since I moved into apartment 3B, a tiny one-bedroom on the edge of Salem, Massachusetts. I got the place cheap. Too cheap. That should have been the first red flag. But I was desperate. New city, new job, trying to rebuild after my divorce. The apartment was clean enough, quiet, and came fully furnished, except for the closet. The door was heavy, thick, and always shut tight. I didn't think much of it at first, until the nightmares started. And every time I woke up from one, the closet door was open. The first time it happened, I had a dream where I was trapped in a box. Dark, tight, cold. I could feel fingernails scratching the sides. From the outside, I woke up sweating, gasping for breath, sat up in bed, heart pounding, and I saw it. The closet door, wide open. I was sure I'd closed it. I got up, walked over slowly, flipped the switch inside. The light flickered, then died. I shined my phone flashlight inside. Nothing, just a few dusty hangers, an old coat. I laughed to myself, told myself I must have forgotten to close it. But the dreams kept coming. Night 2. I dreamed I was buried alive. Couldn't move, couldn't scream, but I could hear someone above me, laughing. I woke up choking. And again, the closet door was open. This time, the coat was gone. I started locking the door with a chain I bought from a hardware store, even screwed a latch in. Didn't matter. Every time I woke up from those nightmares, the chain was broken, latch ripped clean off, and the door, open, always open. I called the landlord, Mr. Finley, a man in his late 60s who smelled like pipe smoke. He came by, took one look at the closet, and said, "Still giving people dreams, huh?" I blinked. "Wait, still?" He hesitated, then leaned in, voice low. "Some places don't hold memories. They hold people. This apartment's closet, it belonged to the girl in 2A. She sleepwalked. Said the door pulled her in. One day, we found her inside, unconscious, screaming. Moved her out the next day. Then he looked me dead in the eyes. Don't let it open while you're dreaming. That's when it feeds." I should have moved out then, but I didn't. I tried everything, salt lines, holy water, cameras. Every night, a nightmare. A worse one than before, and an open door. Night 7, I dreamed I was standing in my room, but everything was reversed. The furniture, the bed, my photos, all backward, like a mirror, except the closet door. It wasn't reversed, it was open, and something was walking out. Long arms, no face, its body made of shadows, wearing clothes, like it had dressed itself in fear. It whispered, "We only come when your mind is soft." I woke up on the floor. The closet was open, and inside, my coat was hanging there now, but I didn't put it there. I tried moving to the couch. Didn't help. The nightmares followed. Sometimes I dreamed of people I didn't know, screaming inside my closet, clawing at the door. Sometimes I was watching myself sleep from inside the closet. Sometimes I woke up with the door open, but the room was locked from the inside. I told a friend, Maria, who believed in the paranormal. She came to stay a night. We both slept. I woke up at 2:58 a.m. She was sitting upright in bed, eyes wide open, crying silently. I asked what was wrong. She pointed. The closet door was open. She whispered, "I was in there, with someone." She moved out of town the next day, blocked my number. I started setting up a video camera, motion triggered, tried to catch whatever opened the door. What I saw ruined me. In the footage, me, tossing in bed. At exactly 3 o'clock a.m., the closet door creaked open, slow, silent. Then, 2 hands reached out, pressed gently on the wall, and someone stepped out. Not a person, a shadow, but shaped like me. It stood over my bed, watched me, then whispered something that made the audio cut out. And at the end of the video, my eyes opened, even though I was still lying down. I haven't slept in 4 days. I taped the door shut now. Still opens. I tried nailing it shut. Woke up with the nails in my pillowcase. I tried burning the closet. Only the fire alarm screamed. Not a single burn mark inside. Now, even when I nap on the bus or doze at work, I have the nightmares. And the door opens. I once woke up in a public restroom stall, standing. The same coat was hanging on the door hook. I left it behind, but it showed up back home, in the closet. I'm writing this to warn you. If you move somewhere and the closet feels off, if the dreams start and they get darker, longer, if you wake up and the door is open, don't go near it. Don't look inside. Don't speak to it. Don't dream too long. Because one day, you won't wake up, and the version of you that steps out of that door won't be you anymore. My name is Caleb Monroe, and I never believed in curses, ghosts, or haunted objects. I'm a science teacher from Nebraska, 35 years old, rational to the bone. That changed the day I bought an antique bed from a local estate sale. It looked beautiful, dark mahogany wood, hand-carved posts, a high headboard with delicate roses etched into the grain. The price was suspiciously low, $100. But the seller just said, "Take it off our hands. Too many bad dreams around it." I laughed. Dreams can't hurt you. I was wrong. The first night I slept like a baby, deep, peaceful, no dreams. I actually woke up thinking the bed was the best purchase I'd ever made. But by the third night, things started to feel different. I began waking up with no memory of falling asleep. Not like a fade into rest, more like I blacked out. And every time I woke up, I was lying perfectly straight, arms at my sides, under the blanket. Exactly like I had been placed there, like someone tucked me in. The fourth night brought the first dream. In it, I was in a dark wooden box. No light, no air, just silence. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I tried to scream, but there was earth in my mouth. I clawed upwards, fingernails breaking. I woke up gasping. My hands were dirty, so was my mouth. Actual soil on my pillow. I ripped the sheets off, checked under the bed. It was normal, or so I thought, until I noticed something strange. The bed frame was sealed, no gap beneath it. I got a flashlight and crouched down. There wasn't an opening underneath, because the bed wasn't built like a frame. It was built like a box. I unscrewed one of the side panels. Inside, wooden lining, soft padding, metal handles. Handles, like the kind you use to carry a coffin. I pulled back, stumbled to my feet. That night I slept on the couch, but I still had the dream. This time, I wasn't alone in the box. I heard breathing, a slow, wet rasp, and a whisper, "You're resting where I did." I called the seller the next morning. No answer. I drove back to the house from the estate sale, found it empty. A neighbor told me the family had moved away after a tragedy. Their son, Nathan, had died in his sleep. Age 36. The coroner couldn't explain it. No health issues, no injuries, just gone. And he had died in that bed. I wanted to burn it, but something kept me from doing it. I'd stand there, lighter fluid in hand, then stop. Felt like something was watching, judging. Like if I destroyed the bed, it would destroy me too. Night after night, I returned to the couch. Still had the dreams. Still woke up choking on dirt. Once I woke up on the floor beside the bed, not the couch. No idea how I got there. The blankets were pulled over me, tucked in, just like before. I finally snapped. I called a local historian, Professor Lila Granger, who studied funerary artifacts. She came to inspect the bed. After 10 minutes of silence, she looked at me with pale, wide eyes. "This isn't a replica. It's a repurposed Victorian funeral casket." She showed me a faint engraving near the headboard. EM 1883, until the soil calls again. She asked me if I'd had any dreams of burial. I told her everything. She nodded slowly. It's not just a coffin, it's a calling. That night, I tried sleeping in a motel. No luck. At 3:15 a.m., I woke up in pitch darkness. No windows, no sound. I felt around. Smooth walls, tight space. I screamed. My voice echoed inside wood. I was back in the box, buried. I clawed at the roof, then woke up in the bed. I called a priest. He blessed the apartment. Nothing changed. I saw Nathan in my next dream. He didn't speak, just lay beside me, eyes open, skin pale, mouth full of soil. He turned his head and whispered, "There's room for one more." I tried selling the bed. No one would buy it. I left it outside by the curb. The next morning, it was back in my room, perfectly made, waiting. I sleep less now, maybe 2 hours a night. But every time I close my eyes, the box is there, and it's getting harder to wake up. If you ever see a bed for sale, carved from dark wood, heavy, no space underneath, don't buy it. If you dream of dirt, of breathless silence, of walls closing in, check your bed. Because some beds aren't meant for sleep, they're meant for eternity. And one night, you won't wake up, because your bed was a coffin all along. My name is Lena Harris, and I live alone. I've lived alone for over 4 years, ever since my husband died in a car accident and our baby never made it past birth. It was hard, still is. But I stayed in the same old farmhouse outside Boise, Idaho, because something in me refused to leave. The baby's room remained untouched. I kept it how it was. Soft yellow wallpaper, a small shelf of storybooks, and a hand-carved wooden cradle in the corner. I couldn't bring myself to sell it. And now, I think that's where the problem began. It started small. I was walking past the baby's room one night, just passing the door, which I always kept open, and I saw the cradle swaying, just a little, back and forth, like someone had just pushed it. I froze. No wind, no footsteps, no sound. I waited. It slowed, then stopped. I thought it might have been vibrations from the old furnace. Maybe the floorboards shifted. Rational things. But I knew that cradle hadn't moved in 4 years. Why now? The next night, I left my bedroom door cracked open. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up to a soft, rhythmic creaking. I sat up, heart pounding, the cradle rocking itself. I walked slowly to the nursery, and I swear I heard a lullaby, not played through a speaker, not from a toy. A humming, low and sad, coming from inside the cradle. When I turned on the light, silence, and the cradle stopped, mid-rock, perfectly still. I told myself it was grief, trauma coming back after years. I hadn't talked about my baby in so long, but something didn't feel right. I started locking the nursery door. Still, the cradle rocked at night. I could hear it creaking through the walls. Sometimes, I heard tiny footsteps too, soft taps on the hardwood floor, always around 3 o'clock a.m. I asked my friend Rachel to come stay for the weekend. She brought her dog Max, a big golden retriever, friendly and calm. That night, Max barked like he was going crazy, not at a person, at the cradle. He growled, then backed away, whining, refused to go near the nursery again. Rachel believed me. We stayed up late trying to listen. At 3:14 a.m., we heard crying, a faint baby's cry, but the house had no babies, only one cradle, rocking by itself. Rachel suggested we get rid of it. I tried. We took the cradle outside and left it by the trash. That night, I woke up to rocking. I rushed to the nursery, and the cradle was back inside, still wet from the rain, dripping on the carpet, and rocking. Faster this time, like something angry. I called a medium. She came with incense, salt, and soft eyes that had seen too much. She walked into the nursery and stood still, then said quietly, "There's a child here, but not yours." I felt a cold wave down my spine. It's not a ghost. It's a shadow that wears a baby's cry. It came after the death. It feeds on loss. I asked what to do. She looked at the cradle. "You kept the door open too long. You mourned too loudly. Now it thinks this is home." She did a cleansing, burned sage, read prayers. For 3 nights, the cradle was still. Then on the 4th night, I heard laughter. Not joyful, not baby-like, but twisted, like someone mocking a lullaby. And on the cradle's edge, carved freshly into the wood, were words, "Still mine." I moved into the guest room, tried ignoring the nursery, but each night the cradle would move closer to my door. I never saw it move, but every morning it was a little closer, until one night I woke up to the sound of creaking wood and saw the cradle in my room, rocking beside my bed. Empty, but the pillow was indented, like something was lying there. I took an axe to it, smashed the cradle to splinters, burned the pieces in the fireplace. The house stayed silent for 2 weeks, until I heard it. Creak, creak, creak. I rushed to the nursery. The cradle was there, whole, rocking, with something inside it now, a shape, wrapped in a blanket. It turned its head, eyes, black as coal, skin, too smooth, too gray, and it whispered in a raspy voice, "You rocked me once. Now I rock you." I sleep with the lights on, earplugs in, but it doesn't help, because at exactly 3:12 a.m., the cradle still rocks, and sometimes it's beside my bed again, waiting, watching. And once, just once, it whispered, "Soon you'll be small enough to fit inside." Please, if you ever move into an old house and you find a cradle left behind, don't keep it, don't touch it, don't mourn into it, because grief is a doorway, and some things crawl through. I travel a lot for work, conferences, meetings, software rollouts. I'm always flying, city to city. That week I was in Vermont, speaking at a small tech summit. Hotels were full, so I booked an Airbnb. Small, cozy, quiet. The kind of place that feels lived in. Lived in. The host's name was Eleanor. She had 5-star ratings and dozens of happy reviews. The house was tucked into the edge of a forest, just outside the town of Bennington. Secluded, clean, a little too perfect. I arrived on a Thursday evening. Rain was falling gently. The key was in a lockbox. Inside, the cottage was dimly lit with warm wood walls, bookshelves, and old family photos still on the shelves. Strange. Most Airbnbs are stripped of personal items, but I told myself it was charm. The bedroom was upstairs, small, cold. The bed looked inviting. Fluffy white sheets, a thick comforter, and 4 pillows stacked neatly. I was exhausted. I took a quick shower, changed into my t-shirt, and climbed into bed. As I laid my head down, I felt something strange. Hard, flat, cold, inside the pillowcase. I sat up, unzipped the pillow, and found it. A note. Folded, old and stained. Scrawled in shaky handwriting were 5 words, "Don't sleep with the lights off," with. I froze, heart racing. Who would put this here? Was it a joke? A leftover prank? Then I looked closer. The handwriting wasn't recent. It looked desperate. I checked all the pillows. Just that one note. I turned on every light in the house, searched every drawer, closet, under the bed. Nothing. I considered leaving, but the rain was pouring, the roads dark, and I was dead tired. So I stayed, with the lights on. At 3:03 a.m., I woke up to a click. The bedroom light was off. I didn't turn it off. I sat up. All the lights in the house were off. My heart pounded. I reached for my phone. Battery dead. Then I heard it. Footsteps. From downstairs. Soft. Slow. But not careful. Whoever it was, they wanted me to hear. The steps reached the bottom of the staircase. Stopped. Then something dragged, like nails on the wall, moving up the stairs. One step at a time. I ran into the corner of the room, clutching a lamp. Flicked it on. Nothing. No power. Then the bedroom door creaked. Opened. Just an inch. And I saw it. A hand. Gray. Long fingers. No nails. Just twitching. The light flickered. Came back on. The door slammed shut. The house went silent. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, everything looked normal. I messaged the host. No response. I packed my bags and left early. But I couldn't stop thinking about the note. When I got back home, I searched Airbnb for the listing again. It was gone. No host named Eleanor, no reviews, no trace of the place ever existing. I called Airbnb support. They said no such listing had been booked under my account. Nothing in their logs. I checked my bank. Payment had gone through to a company simply named Nocturne Rentals. No website, no contact, just a dead phone number. I had the pillowcase tested. Yes, I kept it. The note was old, paper from the 1980s, written in actual blood. Small traces, but enough. And since then, I've seen that same warning in my dreams, sometimes carved into wood, sometimes whispered by a voice I can't see, sometimes tucked into a pillow I didn't buy. Always the same words: don't sleep with the lights off. Now I leave a lamp on wherever I sleep, even in hotels, even on flights. And sometimes I still wake up at 3:03 a.m. to a click, to footsteps, to the feeling that something is watching. And one day, if I forget, if the bulb burns out, I'm afraid the hand will come back. And this time, it won't stop at the door. My name is Marcus Dean, and I live on the 3rd floor of a quiet apartment building in Portland, Oregon. I work from home, freelance graphic design, so I spend a lot of time inside. For the most part, the building is peaceful. Retired couples, young families, students. And then there's apartment 3C, right next to mine. That apartment changed everything for me, because the person living there, he doesn't sleep like a normal person. It started 3 months ago when someone finally moved into 3C. Before that, it had been vacant for almost a year. The landlord, Mr. Turner, said, "New guy's name is Thomas, keeps to himself, pays in cash." He wasn't lying. Thomas Everett was quiet, very pale, always wore black, never smiled. I'd see him in the hallway nodding politely, but never speaking. But every night I heard him. At first it was just muffled sounds through the wall, whispers, groans, like someone having nightmares. I thought nothing of it. Plenty of people sleep talk. Until it started to sound wrong. One night around 2:30 a.m. I was working late. Music off. Apartment dead silent. Then I heard it. A deep growl. Guttural. Not like a voice coming from a man, but something older. It made the hairs on my arms rise. I pressed my ear to the wall and heard words. Not English. Not any language I knew. Sharp syllables, repeating rhythms, like a chant. Razek Thulama, Snav Dorak, Hathak Shell. Over and over again. I recorded it on my phone, played it back the next morning. Still gave me chills. I looked up ancient languages, demonic incantations, anything. The closest match? Enochian, a dead language said to be used by angels and demons. I messaged a local linguist I found online. She replied after 2 days. Her message was short. Stop listening. That language isn't dead, it's waiting. I tried to ignore it, but the sleep talking got louder. Sometimes my walls would shake. Sometimes I'd hear multiple voices, but no one ever entered his apartment. One night, I finally knocked. Thomas opened the door. His eyes looked hollow, skin paler than usual. He smiled, for the first time. But it wasn't warm. It felt like his mouth didn't know how to smile. I asked, "Hey, you okay? I think you talk in your sleep, loudly." He stared at me, then whispered, "It's not me talking," and shut the door. I didn't sleep that night. The next day I bought earplugs. Didn't help. Because now, the whispers were inside my dreams. I'd wake up sweating, gasping, whispering the same phrases. One time, I woke up standing beside my bed, my own mouth moving, repeating the words I heard through the wall. I recorded myself sleeping. When I played it back, same language, same chants, but my voice wasn't alone. Another voice whispered with mine, deeper, older. I told Mr. Turner, the landlord. He laughed it off. "Thomas, that guy barely makes a sound. Place has great insulation." I asked for the previous tenant's name. He said he couldn't give it out, but I found it. A woman named Mira Halden. She went missing. I tracked down her sister online. We spoke on the phone. Her voice shook. Mira complained about chanting, said her neighbor talked in his sleep. Then she started sleep talking too. Then sleepwalking. The last time anyone saw her was at 3 a.m., walking toward the woods. She paused. They never found her. Just her slippers, covered in mud, and a small piece of paper in her pocket. I asked what it said. She replied, "Same words you just said to me." I tried moving out, packed my things, called a moving truck, but I fell asleep on the couch just for a moment. And when I woke up, all the boxes were unpacked, everything back in place. And a new word had been carved into my bedroom wall in that same demonic language. When I translated it the next day, it said, "Stay. Thomas no longer leaves his apartment. Lights are always off, but sometimes I hear movement, not walking, crawling, and the chanting. Now I hear it in my own heartbeat. Please, if you hear your neighbor talking in their sleep, and it sounds like something not human, don't listen, don't record it, and never repeat it, because some languages weren't meant for us. They speak back." My name is Rachel Monroe, and I've always loved antiques. I collect old furniture, worn books, porcelain dolls. The older, the better. To me, everything old tells a story. That's what I thought when I bought the bed. I found it at an estate sale just outside Savannah, Georgia. It was carved from dark oak, with twisting floral patterns on the headboard and thick, heavy bedposts. Victorian style. Beautiful. Dusty, but elegant. The seller said it came from an old plantation home. Over 100 years old, he told me. I bought it for $250. The price should have warned me. It took 3 men to carry it into my second-floor apartment. Once it was assembled, it dominated the room. Tall, cold, commanding. That night, I changed the sheets, fluffed the pillows, and climbed in. At first, everything was fine, until 3:33 a.m. I woke up freezing. The room was cold, much colder than the rest of the apartment, and it wasn't just the air. The bed felt cold beneath me, not like temperature, like presence. Then I heard it, a soft creak. I sat up. The bed wasn't moving, but the floorboards were, just at the foot of the bed. I stared, wide-eyed. No one was there. But the floor shifted again, like weight was settling onto it. Then a whisper, right beside my ear. Why did you come back? I jumped out of bed, flipped the lights on. Empty room. Nothing there. Nothing at all. I didn't sleep again that night. The next morning, I blamed it on a nightmare. That evening, I sprinkled salt across the doorways. Old habit, just in case. But the moment I turned off the lights, the room dropped 10 degrees colder, and I heard it again. A whisper from inside the mattress. He doesn't like you here. I didn't know who he was. Night after night, things got worse. The whispers grew louder. The bed would shift slightly, like someone else was climbing in. One time, the blanket was pulled down to my feet while I watched it happen. I recorded audio while I slept. The next morning, I played it back. I heard heavy breathing, not mine, creaking footsteps, circling the bed, and at one point a deep, gruff voice saying, "This is my bed." I contacted the estate agent. He told me the house it came from had a dark history. The original owner, Jonathan Bellamy, was a cruel man, rumored to have punished his staff in that very bed. Some said people died in it. Others said he was buried beneath it. No one could ever prove it. But the bed had been stored away in an attic for 60 years before the estate sale. I should have returned it. I tried, but the movers wouldn't touch it again. That night I slept on the couch. At 3:33 a.m. I woke up choking. Something was pressing on my chest. I opened my eyes. A figure stood over me. Tall, shaped like a man, but wrong. No face, just darkness where eyes should be. He whispered, "You can't leave what you lay with." I burned sage, hung crosses. Nothing worked. The spirit, or spirits, weren't leaving. They were growing stronger. A psychic friend of mine, Amelia, came to help. She walked into the room, touched the bed, and immediately gasped. "Rachel," she said, "this isn't just haunted. This bed is a portal." She said there were multiple spirits attached to it. Some were trapped, some were angry, and one, the man in the corner, was not human anymore. We tried cleansing the bed, salt, prayers, incense, Latin chants. The bed shook during the ritual. The headboard cracked, and from the crack, a black mist poured out. Amelia screamed. She said, "They're not ready to go." Since then, I've had dreams I can't explain. Dreams of waking up in another era, lying in the same bed, but in a dark, candlelit room. A man with blood on his hands sits beside me. Sometimes, I wake up with bruises on my wrists, fingers I didn't put there. One morning, I found the name Rachel Bellamy carved into the wooden post. My last name is Monroe. I never carved it. I now sleep on the floor, but the bed still creaks at 3:33, still whispers. And last night, I swear it spoke in my own voice. It said, "Come back to bed." I'm trying to get rid of it, but every time I drag it to the hallway, by morning it's back in the room, fully made, perfectly neat. Please, if you ever buy a vintage bed, especially one made of old wood, don't bring it home without knowing its story, because sometimes the bed isn't just a bed, it's a cage, and spirits don't always stay asleep. My name is Eli Turner, and I rent a studio apartment in a quiet suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. It's a normal place. White walls, hardwood floors, clean kitchen, small balcony. Nothing strange about it, at least not during the day. But something happens in my apartment every night. Exactly at 2:47 a.m. A smell. Not a regular smell. Not gas, mold, or mildew. It's the smell of death. It began 2 months ago. The first time I thought I left food out. I woke up gagging, air thick with something like rotting meat mixed with old blood. I flipped on the lights, opened windows. Gone in 5 minutes. Just vanished. No sign of a cause. No garbage. No leak. I let it go. One-time thing. Until it happened again the next night. Same exact time, 2:47 a.m. I started setting alarms. And every time I woke at 2:47, the smell was already there. Rot, decay, like a dead animal had been baking inside the walls. I told the landlord. He said it was probably plumbing. He sent a plumber. They found nothing. No leaks, no dead rodents. Everything's clean, but I wasn't imagining it. I could taste the air by then. I bought cameras and air quality monitors, recorded temperature, humidity, even carbon levels. Nothing unusual, but I noticed something else. My phone always lost signal at 2:47, just for a minute or two. Wi-Fi dropped, data cut off, like a pocket of interference. I posted on a local forum asking if anyone else had experienced something like it. One person responded. Their username was The Awakened One. They wrote, "The veil is thinner at 2:47. If something finds you through it, it won't stop." I laughed it off. Until they sent me a private message. "Has the smell started following you yet?" The next night I stayed at a friend's place. No smell. Slept perfectly. But when I came back the next morning, my room still smelled like rot. And on my pillow was a small brown stain. Dried. Crusty. Blood. I don't have nosebleeds. I don't sleepwalk. Something else had been there. I started keeping the lights on at night. Didn't help. At 2:47 a.m., the smell returned. Stronger now. Sometimes I heard scratching from inside the walls, or whispers, too low to understand. And once I swear something brushed my foot under the blanket. I called a paranormal investigator. His name was Derek. Older guy, worn face, carried salt and a tape recorder. He stayed in the room with me overnight. We sat in silence waiting. When the clock struck 2:47, the temperature dropped. The smell hit us like a wave. Derek began recording. Then his eyes widened. "It's not a ghost," he whispered. "It's a scar. This place has a tear in it." He played the recording back, static, then a voice, gravelly, deep. "Still here? Still rotting? Still hungry?" Derek left. Didn't come back. He texted me once. "Move. Burn it if you have to." I tried moving. Got a new apartment across town. But at 2:47 a.m., my new room began to smell. Faint at first, then stronger with each night, until it was just as bad. I realized it wasn't the room. It was me. Whatever I had woken, or whatever had found me, was now attached. I visited a priest. He gave me holy water. I sprinkled it around my bed. That night I woke up at 2:47 a.m. to the sound of sizzling, and the smell. It turned sweet for a moment, then worse. Burnt hair, boiling flesh. Now I don't sleep. I sit up every night watching the clock, waiting. At 2:47 I feel it enter the room. Sometimes I hear it breathe. Sometimes it whispers new things. Last night it said, "You shouldn't have noticed me." Today, I checked the old lease. Found something I missed before. A police report from 1989. A tenant had died in that unit, locked inside for 3 weeks. Body discovered after neighbors complained of the smell. Time of death estimated at 2:47 a.m. Now I know. Something died horribly, but it didn't leave. And now, it's dragging me with it, minute by minute, night by night. If you ever wake up to the smell of rot, don't ignore it. Don't try to explain it. And whatever you do, don't check the clock. Because once you see 2:47 a.m., it sees you back.